This was never just a love triangle, it was a cycle of erasure. Emma's tragedy begins long before the guns, the blood, or the Mafia war. She is the woman everyone learned to overlook by family, by class, by love itself. When her sister marries the man who once promised Emma forever, it feels like the final humiliation. But the story's real brilliance is this: the mob world does not create her transformation, it reveals it. In trying to silence a witness, they awaken a woman who is done disappearing.
So get this. On Emma Carter's kitchen counter sits a wedding invitation, and it's a literal ticking time bomb. In shiny gold letters is her sister's name next to the groom's, Ryan Blake. This is the same dude Emma was head over heels for 3 straight years. The guy who promised her forever and then poof, vanished. And now he's about to marry Victoria, the golden child sister who has it all. As rain beats down on her tiny New York apartment, you can feel something inside her just snap. Little does she know, in 7 days, her entire reality is going to get flipped. And this betrayal, that's going to look like a walk in the park. Drop your city in the comments if you're ready for this. Let's see just how deep this rabbit hole goes. Our story kicks off now. The hospital smells like pure chemicals with a nasty hint of sickness underneath, a stench that sticks to you no matter how hard you scrub. Emma Carter's holding up the 4th floor nurse's station. Her back is shot and her feet are screaming in shoes that gave up the ghost 2 months ago. She's too broke to buy new ones. Emma, 412 needs fresh linens, Nurse Sandra Chen says, not even looking up from her charts. On it. Emma's body is on complete autopilot while her mind just floats away. Her favorite new party trick for escaping the prison she's stuck in. That stupid invitation has been messing with her head for 3 days. 3 whole days, and she can't bring herself to trash it. She shoves the linen cart down the hall, its wheels squealing like they're in pain. Honestly, every little noise is getting to her. The lights hum and flicker. A call button beeps non-stop. Someone's crying behind a closed door. Emma's a machine. She changes the linens, checks on 2 post-op patients, tops off 3 water pitchers, and helps an old guy to the bathroom. Her shift finally ends at 11 p.m., a full 12 hours later. Then her supervisor, Margaret, asks if she can cover part of tomorrow's day shift. "We're just so short-handed," Margaret says, putting on her best sad face, totally expecting a yes. "Just 4 hours?" Emma's brain is already crunching the numbers. Rent's due in 6 days. The power bill is screaming at her. "Yeah," she hears herself say, "I can do that." "You're a lifesaver." Emma's not so sure about that. Most days, she's barely keeping her own head above water. She heads down into the subway station, which is practically a ghost town. A few random people are scattered around, all following the unwritten rule of late-night travel in New York. Nobody makes eye contact. Everyone's invisible, and that's just how they like it. Emma has totally perfected the art of not being seen. She's had a lifetime of practice after all. The train screeches into the station, blasting out a wave of gross, stale air. She collapses into a seat in the back and just closes her eyes. 20 minutes of sweet, sweet nothingness. But that invitation is in her bag, a heavy weight she can feel in her bones. Her phone vibrates. It's a text from her mom. "Victoria needs your RSVP. The caterer needs the final head count." Emma just glares at the screen for a solid minute before locking her phone, leaving her mom on red. Emma's apartment building looks like it's held together by pure willpower and cheap coat of paint. The front door is always stuck. The 3rd floor lights are permanently out, and the elevator's been busted for 2 months. So Emma has to climb 5 flights, her legs shaking from pure exhaustion. Inside apartment 5C, she just drops her bag by the door without even turning on the lights. The streetlights outside give off just enough glow to see. She shuffles over to the kitchen, which is really just a corner of the main room, and pours herself a glass of tap water. The invitation is exactly where she left it, propped up against the salt shaker. Mr. and Mrs. Robert Carter request blah blah blah. At the wedding of their daughter, Victoria Ann Carter, to Mr. Ryan Christopher Blake. Emma's hand is shaking as she puts her glass down. Ryan Blake, 3 years. She sank 3 years of her life into that guy. All those nights talking till the sun came up, weekends exploring the city, quiet mornings in his gorgeous Tribeca apartment that his family's money paid for. She always felt like a total fraud there, like she was playing a part in someone else's life. "I love you," he'd told her, holding her face like she was fragile. "I don't care what my father thinks. You are what I want." Total lies. 2 weeks later, he started ghosting her calls. 4 months after that, Victoria comes home for Christmas with a new guy. Tall, handsome, loaded. It all happened so fast, she gushed, totally over the moon. Emma knew who it was immediately. Ryan looked at her just once during that whole dinner with a completely blank expression, and in that moment, she knew. He had made his choice. She wasn't the one. She never was. She should have gone nuclear, smashed a plate, exposed him right there in front of everyone. But instead, she just excused herself, went to the bathroom, and cried her eyes out without making a sound. Because that's what Emma does. She makes herself smaller. She eats her own pain. She vanishes. "Damn it," she whispers into the silent apartment. The word feels sharp, real. She says it again, louder this time. "Damn it. No one's there. No one cares." Emma grabs the invitation, fully intending to rip it to shreds, but her hands just won't do it. She slumps onto the old couch, a street find from 3 years ago, and just stares at the fancy letters until they get blurry. Her phone rings. She almost ignores it, but it's her sister. "Hello, Emma." "Finally! I've been blowing up your phone all day." Victoria's voice sounds like sunshine and money, like everything in her life is easy. "Did you see my text about the RSVP?" "Yeah." Emma's throat feels tight. "I have to work that weekend." "What?" "No, Emma, it's my wedding. You have to be there. You're my maid of honor." "I never said I would be." "Well, of course you are. You're my sister. Who else would I ask?" Victoria lets out this little laugh, the kind that always makes Emma feel like she's on the outside looking in. "Besides, Mom already ordered your dress. It's stunning, champagne-colored. It is one day. Surely they can get by without you for one day." Emma's dying to just say no, to tell Victoria the whole disgusting truth, to finally see that perfect composure crack. "I will see what I can manage," is what comes out instead. "Perfect. I knew you'd come through. Oh, and we have the final fitting on Tuesday. Can you be there? 6 o'clock at that boutique in Soho." "I work until 7. "Then leave early, Emma, please. This is my wedding." Victoria's voice gets that sharp edge, the one that comes out when she doesn't get her way. "I need you there." "No," Emma thinks. "You need a prop to make you look even better. That's all I've ever been." "I'll try," she says. "Great. Love you, sis." The call ends before Emma can even think of a reply. She just sits there in the dark, phone still pressed to her ear, imagining what it would feel like to just set her entire life on fire. The next morning shows up way too early and with zero chill. Emma's alarm screams at 5 a.m. She drags herself into the shower, letting the water get so hot it stings until the tiny water heater gives out. She throws on the same scrubs she washed last night and chokes down a protein bar that tastes like dust. The day shift led Patricia gives her a kind smile. You look drained. I'm fine. Margaret mentioned you're covering until 3. That is the plan. Patricia hesitates, then lowers her voice. You know it's okay to say no, right? You already work more than anyone else. Emma forces a smile. It's fine, honestly. It was not fine, not even close. But Emma learned a long time ago that saying it's fine is way easier than telling the truth. The morning bleeds into the afternoon, a constant stream of patients comes and goes. Emma changes beds, fills out charts, hands out meds, and holds hands with people who are scared and alone. She's good at this part, being invisible, being useful. By 2 p.m., she feels like she's wading through cement. Everything is in slow motion. Her thoughts, her body, the clock on the wall that's definitely mocking her. Emma, are you all right? Sandra Chen is giving her a worried look. You were just completely spaced out for 30 seconds. Sorry, yeah, I'm okay. When did you last have a meal? Emma has to think hard. Breakfast, that was 11 hours ago. Go take 15, get some food. The hospital cafeteria is the sad, fluorescent-lit room in the basement, but the coffee is strong and the sandwiches are cheap. Emma grabs both and hides at a table in the corner. She's about halfway through her food when her phone buzzes with a text from an unknown number, a ping from a ghost. It's Chelsea, Victoria's old college pal, with a bachelorette party invite. Emma looks from the phone to her sad, forgotten sandwich. A crack runs right through her. It's an instant no from her. Don't think I can swing it. The reply comes back way too fast, a chipper message that feels like a punch. OMG, no, you have to come. Let me call you. She silences the phone and buries it. The rest of her shift is a blur. At 3 p.m., she clocks out, a total zombie weighed down by a soul-deep exhaustion. The subway platform is a chaotic mess of bodies. Emma skips 2 packed trains before finally cramming herself into the 3rd one. Pinned against the doors, some guy's briefcase jammed in her side, she just counts the stops. When she finally gets above ground, it's into a gray, rainy hellscape. Of course it's raining. Her umbrella was jacked from work 2 weeks ago. She's completely soaked by the time she sees her building, uniform plastered to her skin. Her shoes squish with every miserable step. The 5-floor climb feels like scaling a mountain. Inside, Emma strips off her soaking clothes, shivering as some stranger stares back from the mirror. This ghost is pale, with dark circles under her eyes and hair that's screaming for a cut. A little too bony here, a little too soft there. When did she start vanishing? The shower is freezing, the water heater's dead again, so she throws on sweatpants and her ex Ryan's old university shirt. She knows she should have burned all his stuff. Instead, she wears his memory. Dinner's instant ramen shoveled down right out of the pot. From her window, she spies on a completely different life. A family having dinner. Mom, dad, 2 kids. You can practically hear the laughter. A hand gently wipes a kid's messy face. Emma turns away. The night ahead is a massive empty void. The TV is just flickering lights, and the book she's trying to read is just gibberish. So she just lies on the couch, staring at the ceiling, listening to the building's greatest hits. Footsteps from upstairs, a muffled fight in Spanish, and a bass line thumping through the floor. At 10 p.m., with sleep nowhere in sight, she decides to make a holy pilgrimage to the 24-hour bodega. She needs the basics: milk, bread, any excuse to actually exist for a minute. Maybe the walk will knock her out. The streets are dead for a Friday. The rain sent everyone running. Emma walks fast, hands deep in her pockets, hood pulled up. The bodega is a little island of light and warmth. She grabs her stuff, pays the exhausted-looking clerk, and heads back into the dark. And that's when she sees it, a bus waiting across the street. She never takes the bus. But this thing is lit up like a sanctuary on wheels, its doors still open, and she finds herself sprinting right for it. The driver, a middle-aged woman with kind eyes, gives a little nod. Barely made it. "Thanks," Emma gasps, swiping her card. The bus is practically empty. An old man is asleep up front, and a young couple is whispering in the middle. Emma heads straight to the back and crashes into a window seat. The bus pulls away with a lurch. She rests her head against the cool glass, watching the city blur by. Her mind is totally blank until the bus suddenly stops where it's not supposed to. Two guys get on, and a cold, sharp dread explodes in Emma's chest because their whole vibe is wrong. Their clothes are way too nice for this bus route. Their posture is stiff, hyper-aware, and their eyes are pure predator, scanning everything. The driver knows it too. "This isn't a stop. Just drive," the first guy says, his voice deceptively calm, but with an edge of pure steel. As the second dude walks down the aisle, Emma spots the gun tucked into his waistband, and all the air leaves her body. "Everybody stay cool," the first guy announces. "We're just looking for someone." The old man is wide awake now, hands up. The couple is clinging to each other. The driver's knuckles are white on the wheel. Emma's heart is trying to hammer its way out of her chest. The second guy stalks down the aisle, his eyes locking onto every passenger. He gets to the young couple and yanks the guy up by his shirt. "Hey, Shut it! Phone!" The kid shakily hands it over. The gunman gives the screen a quick look, grunts, and shoves him back down. Not him. He keeps moving, his slow, menacing walk bringing him right toward Emma. Her brain just shuts down. She's frozen solid. Her hands are shaking so bad she has to grip the seat. He stops right in front of her. His cold, dead eyes hold her for what feels like an eternity. And then he walks right past her. "We're getting off here," the guy up front orders the driver. The bus swerves onto some desolate industrial street Emma's never seen. The doors hiss open. "Let's go!" The second gunman barks at someone in the back. Emma risks a look and sees him hauling some guy in a ridiculously expensive suit to his feet. The suit is arguing in a low, angry voice she can't make out. He gets shoved down the stairs and vanishes into the night. The doors shut. The bus starts moving again. The silence is deafening until the old man up front starts to quietly sob. The driver pulls over at the next real stop. "Everybody out," she says, her voice shaking. "I have to call the cops." Emma practically falls off the bus, her legs feeling like they belong to someone else. The other passengers just vanish into the darkness, wanting no part of police reports and questions. She knows she should stay, she doesn't, she just walks. She's in a totally random part of the city. The street signs might as well be in another language. Her phone says it's a 40-minute walk home. So, she walks. The rain starts coming down even harder, plastering her hair to her head. She's only 2 blocks from her apartment when she finally recognizes where she is, her whole body shaking from the adrenaline dump. 2 more blocks to safety, a hot shower, and a chance to forget the look in that guy's eyes. She's so focused on just moving that she doesn't notice the car until it slides to a halt right next to her. The window rolls down. "You look like you could use a ride." Emma's head snaps up. The driver is a man in his 40s, dark hair with silver streaks, and eyes that see way too much. He's wearing a suit that costs more than her yearly rent. And he's looking at her with an intensity that makes her feel like the last person on earth. "I'm fine," she says on autopilot. "You're drenched. It's 1 a.m, and you're in a neighborhood you clearly don't know." His voice is smooth, with some kind of accent she can't place. "Let me give you a ride." "No, thank you," I insist. The way he says it makes it clear this isn't a negotiation. Her heart starts pounding all over again. "I said no." The man stares at her for another long second, then gives a slow, deliberate nod. "Fine, but take this." He holds out a business card. "In case you change your mind." She flat out ignores it, turns and walks away faster. She hears the car's quiet hum as it finally leaves. She doesn't slow down until her building's front door is locked behind her. She keeps looking over her shoulder all the way up the stairs, a raw fear still clinging to her. Inside her apartment, she throws the deadbolt, slides the chain, and even wedges a chair under the doorknob just in case. Only then does she finally collapse onto the sofa, dripping wet and shaking uncontrollably. Her phone buzzes. Victoria, rejected. It buzzes again. Her mom, rejected again. A text comes through. "Emma Christine Carter, answer your phone. We need to talk." Emma just powers the whole thing off and lets it fall. On the counter, that wedding invitation sits, a pristine relic from a world that isn't hers anymore. With her eyes clamped shut, Emma tried to tune into her own breathing. Rain was pounding the city outside, where life was actually happening. People falling in love, building futures, just plain existing. But not Emma Carter. She was a ghost, sitting in the dark, wondering if she was even real. She wakes up on the couch, clothes still damp, a killer crick in her neck shooting pain down her back. Morning light peeks through the blinds. For a split second, she forgets why she feels so broken, so empty. Then it all comes rushing back, the bus, the glint of metal, the man in that expensive-looking car. She gets up slowly, her stiff fingers fumbling with her soaked jacket. Her phone is right where she dropped it on the floor. She turns it onto a screen, exploding with 17 missed calls and 23 texts. Emma deletes every single one without reading them. The shower is ice cold, like always. She really needs to call the landlord about that water heater, but the freezing spray at least washes off the city grime. She throws on a fresh pair of scrubs, braids her wet hair, and catches her reflection. A total stranger stares back, pale, hollow, almost completely faded. "Get it together," she mutters to the reflection. When she gets to the hospital, it's total, controlled chaos. A huge pileup on the highway has flooded the ER, dragging in staff from all over. Emma spends the first 4 hours of her shift in a total haze, grabbing supplies, slapping pressure on wounds, and just trying to stay out of the way of the real pros. Around noon, things finally calm down enough for her to sneak out for a minute. She's by the employee entrance, sucking in exhaust fumes and trying to stop her hands from shaking when her coworker Sandra shows up. "I've been trying to call you." Emma pulls out her phone, realizing she silenced it after the whole bus thing. "Sorry, what's up?" Sandra has this weird expression, like she's worried, but also something else Emma can't name. "Someone's at the front desk asking for you." "Who is it?" "He wouldn't give a name, said it was urgent." A block of ice forms in Emma's stomach. "I'm not expecting anyone." "Look, the car he's in costs more than I make in 2 years, Sandra interrupts. "And he's got that vibe, you know? like he's thinking about buying the hospital just for kicks. The main lobby is a mess of anxious family members and patients. Emma scans the room and spots him immediately. It's the guy from last night, casually leaning against the info desk like he owns the place. His eyes are glued to the elevators, and the second she steps out, they lock right onto hers. Her first instinct is to run. Her second is to call security. She does neither. Instead, she walks right toward him, her heart pounding in her ears, stopping just out of his reach. "How did you find me?" A slight smile plays on his lips, but it doesn't reach his eyes. It's crazy how easy it is to find someone if you just know where to look. That's not an answer. No, he agrees. It's not. Up close, the guy is even more intense. Insane cheekbones, a jawline that looks like it was carved from rock, and eyes the color of a stormy ocean. A tiny scar cuts through his left eyebrow, a small imperfection that just makes him look sharper. "What do you want?" Emma demands. "Just wanted to make sure you got home okay." "I'm fine. You can leave now." "Can we talk somewhere a little more private?" "No." His smile gets a tiny bit wider. "You're cautious. That's smart." "I'm leaving," Emma says, turning her back on him. His hand snaps out and grabs her wrist. The grip isn't rough, but it's unbreakable, stopping her cold. 5 minutes, that's all I'm asking for." Emma looks down at his hand on her arm. His hands are huge, with scarred knuckles that tell stories of hitting walls, or maybe people. "Let go of me." He does, instantly, holding his hands up like he's surrendering. "I'm not here to hurt you." "Then why are you here?" "'Cause I think you saw something on that bus last night." His voice drops, a low murmur just for her. "And I think you're smart enough to be scared." Emma's mouth is suddenly bone dry. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Yeah, you do." He reaches into his coat. Emma flinches back as he pulls out a simple business card. "My name is Adrian Castellano. If anyone asks you about yesterday, if anyone approaches you, if anything feels off at all, you call me immediately." She stares at the card. It's thick, expensive paper with just a name and a number embossed on it. "Why would I call you?" "Because the other guys on that bus are not the kind of people you want attention from." Adrian's face is dead serious now, that smirk totally gone. "And you, Emma, have been noticed." "I didn't see anything. I don't know anything." "I really hope that's true." He pushes the card into her hand, his skin warm against her ice-cold fingers. "But if it's not, take this. Please." Emma has to fight the urge to throw the card in his face, to demand answers, to just scream about how her life is already a dumpster fire and she doesn't need some mysterious dude to make it worse. Instead, she shoves the card in her pocket and walks away without a second glance. She can feel him watching her, like a physical weight on her back, until the elevator doors close. The rest of her shift is a complete blur of boring tasks and racing, paranoid thoughts. Who is Adrian Castellano? How did he find her? What the hell does noticed mean? By the time she clocks out at 7, she's completely frayed. The subway ride is a nightmare of paranoia, where every single person looks like a threat. The second she gets her apartment door bolted, she just collapses against it, pressing her forehead to the cool wood. That business card is a hard square in her pocket. She pulls it out, stares at it for a solid minute, then shoves it in a drawer like she can bury the whole damn memory. Her phone rings. It's her mom again. This time, Emma actually answers. "Hello, Mom." "Emma, thank God, I've been going out of my mind." Victoria said you're ignoring all the messages about the dress fitting, and Chelsea said you're bailing on the bachelorette party. Mom, I have a job. I can't just drop everything. This is your sister's wedding, Emma, your only sister. She's counting on you. Emma almost chokes on a bitter laugh. Is she, though? Really? What is that supposed to mean? Nothing. I'm just tired. Can we talk about this later? No, we can't. The wedding is in 3 weeks. 3 weeks, Emma. You need to get yourself together. And with that, something inside her just snaps. Maybe it was the exhaustion. Maybe it was the terror still coiled in her gut from the bus and Adrian Castellano's creepy warning. Or maybe it was 3 years of swallowing pure misery. You want to know why I haven't RSVP'd? Why I'm not pumped to be Victoria's maid of honor? Ryan was my boyfriend for 3 years, and then he just ghosted me. No calls, no texts, he just vanished. And 4 months later, he shows up at Christmas dinner with Victoria on his arm. Dead silence on the other end of the phone. You knew, Emma whispers. This whole time you knew, didn't you? Her mom's voice, when it comes back, is super tight. Ryan made his choice, Emma. He chose someone he could build a real future with. Someone from his world. Someone who isn't me. Victoria is successful. She's beautiful. She's everything I'm not. Yes, Mom, I get it. I always have. That's not what I meant. Yes, it is. Emma's voice cracks. It's always what you've meant. I'm the daughter who couldn't get into a good college. The one making minimum wage, cleaning up after people, the family embarrassment. Emma, don't be so dramatic. I have to go. Don't you dare hang up on... Emma kills the call and shuts her phone off completely. Then she marches to the kitchen, grabs the wedding invitation off the counter, and starts ripping it to shreds. She tears it into tiny pieces like confetti. It feels good, not great, but good. She's sweeping the little scraps into a dustpan when there's a sharp knock at her door. Emma freezes. Nobody ever knocks on her door. She has no friends to just drop by. She doesn't know her neighbors. Packages get left downstairs. A second knock, harder this time. She tiptoes to the door and looks through the peephole. There's a guy in the hall. It's not Adrian Castellano. This one is younger, with a harsh buzz cut and a body built from years in the gym. Emma Carter, his voice rumbles through the door. She doesn't make a sound. I just have a couple of questions about what you saw last night. On the bus. Ice spreads through her body. It won't take long. Nothing to worry about. But her instincts are screaming that this is bad. A cop would have said he was a cop. Another witness wouldn't have tracked her down to her apartment. Adrian's warning echoes in her head. If anything feels wrong, you call me. Emma backs away from the door, holding her breath. The dude started knocking again, way harder this time. Then she heard him muttering to someone else. Great, there were 2 of them. Footsteps faded down the hall. She was counting seconds, waiting 5 minutes, then 10. Finally, with shaky hands, she grabbed Adrian's card and made the call. He answered before it even finished 1 ring. Emma. How'd you know it was me? I was waiting for you. Tell me what's up. She unloaded everything. The guy at her door, his questions, the gut feeling that screamed, danger. The words just spilled out in a panicked mess. But Adrian listened in dead silence. When she was done, there was a sharp pause. Lock your door. Don't open it for anyone. I'm sending someone to you right now. Someone? What? Emma, listen, and listen good. The guys who snatched that man off the bus work for a major player, someone who hates loose ends, and right now you're a loose end." Her legs turned to jelly. She just collapsed on the couch. "I didn't see anything. I don't know anything." "I know," he said, "but they don't, and their hunt won't stop until they're sure." His voice softened a bit. "I can protect you, but you have to trust me. Can you do that?" Emma saw her empty apartment, her dead-end job, her family who saw her as a burden. She saw a lifetime of being invisible, of not existing, of being wiped away. "Why do you care?" she asked. Adrian paused for a second. "I don't have that answer yet, but I do." The raw honesty in his voice totally threw her. It was like he was just as surprised by his own words as she was. "Okay," she whispered. "A black SUV is pulling up to your building as we speak. The driver's name is Marcus. He's taking you to safety." "Where?" "To me?" Emma drifted over to the window, checking the street below. Just like he said, a dark SUV with tinted windows was idling at the curb. As she watched, a guy got out, broad shoulders, dark-skinned, in a suit that was fighting for its life to contain him. "I see him." "Good, grab a bag. Only the essentials. You won't be coming back here for a while." The reality of her situation finally hit her like a truck. "Adrian, I have a job." I'll handle it. Trust me." Emma wanted to fight back, to call this whole thing insane, to say no to running from her own life on the word of a guy she met once in a rainstorm. But she pictured the man at her door, remembered the feel of the gun on the bus, and saw the warning in Adrian's eyes. "Give me 5 minutes," she said. She packed a bag on autopilot, grabbing jeans, shirts, underwear, the one nice dress she never got to wear, her toothbrush, a phone charger, and the framed photo of her and her grandma from her nightstand. As a last thought, she grabbed Ryan's old t-shirt and shoved it in too. She had no idea why. Marcus was waiting for her in the lobby. The guy was even more of a unit in person, at least 6'4", with a scar on his neck and eyes that saw everything. "Miss Carter," he said, his voice way softer than she expected. "I'm Marcus Webb. Mr. Castellano sent me to ensure your safety." "Yeah, he told me." Emma hiked the bag up on her shoulder. "So where are we going?" "To a secure location. Please follow me." The SUV was slick and silent, the leather interior already warm. Marcus slid into traffic, his eyes constantly scanning the mirrors. "Have you been with Adrian for a while?" Emma asked, mostly to kill the crazy, tense silence. 8 years. "What is it that he does, exactly?" "Adrian, I mean." Marcus caught her eye in the rear view. "He resolves issues." "That's not an answer." "It's the only one I'm allowed to give you, ma'am." They drove for 20 minutes, leaving her neighborhood behind for the heart of Manhattan. The buildings got taller, sharper, more ridiculously expensive. When Marcus finally pulled into an underground garage beneath a glass and steel tower, Emma's stomach was a solid knot of fear. The elevator needed a key card. Marcus swiped his and hit the button for the penthouse. Of course, the freaking penthouse. The door slid open into a scene straight out of a design magazine. We're talking floor-to-ceiling windows with a crazy view of the city. Modern furniture in shades of gray and white. Artwork on the walls that probably cost more than her entire life. Adrian was standing by the glass, phone to his ear. He turned as they came in, said a few quick, quiet words, and ended the call. "Emma, I'm glad you came. I'm not sure I was given a choice. You always have a choice." He dismissed Marcus with a nod, and as soon as the elevator doors closed, he turned his full attention to Emma. "Are you okay?" "I don't know what I am." She dropped her bag and crossed her arms. "Are you going to tell me what the hell is going on?" Adrian walked to a bar cart and poured 2 glasses of something amber. He held one out to her. "Whiskey, you look like you could use one." Emma took the glass but didn't drink. "I need answers." "Fair enough." Adrian took a sip of his own drink, thinking, "The men from the bus work for the Vyulov family, Russian organized crime. They were picking up an asset who stole from them. The guy in the suit was David Chen. He was running one of their money laundering operations and got greedy. Skimmed $2 million off their top line." Adrian's face was completely unreadable. "They found him 3 days ago. Last night was just the pickup." Emma's hands started shaking again. She set the glass down, scared she was going to drop it. "And they think I saw them?" "They're just being careful, making sure there's no one left who can ID them." "So they'll just kill everyone who was on the bus." Her voice went up an octave. "That's insane. That's the world we're in." Adrian's tone was pure ice now. "This isn't a world of police reports and hoping for justice. It's a world where loose ends get cut." Emma collapsed into the nearest chair. "I think I'm going to be sick." "Breathe. Just breathe." She tried. In through the nose, out through the mouth, that trick they taught her for panic attacks. It didn't help much. "Why are you doing this?" she asked when she could speak. "You don't know me. This isn't your problem." Adrian sat down across from her, leaning in. "Because I know the Vulovs. I know how they work, and I know for a fact that without my help, you'll be dead in 48 hours. Jesus, I'm sorry, I know this is a lot to take in." Emma let out a sharp, almost hysterical laugh. "A lot. Yeah, that's one word for it." She buried her face in her hands. "This isn't happening. This can't be real. I wish it wasn't." She looked back up at him. "Who are you for real?" Adrian leaned back, the light carving shadows on his face. "I'm someone who operates in the same world as the Vulovs, someone with the resources to keep you from dying." "That's still not an answer." "I know." He held her gaze. "I run a security consulting firm. Very private, very selective. We handle problems for clients who can't go through the usual channels." "So you're a criminal?" "I work in the moral gray areas that most people pretend don't exist." Emma should have been terrified. She should have screamed for him to let her go. She should have made a run for the elevator. Instead, she heard herself ask, "Can you actually protect me?" "Yes." No hesitation, no fake promises, just a simple fact. Emma grabbed the whiskey and threw it back in one burning gulp. "Fine. What's the plan?" "For now, you stay here. You're safe. Marcus is in the building. I've got 2 more guys watching the entrances. The Vulovs won't get to you." "For how long?" "As long as it takes." "I have a job, Adrian. A life, responsibilities." "I already called your manager, told her there's a family emergency and you needed immediate leave. Your apartment is paid up for the rest of the year. Your bills are covered." Emma just stared at him. "You don't have the right." "I do, and I did." He got up and walked to the window, staring out at the city lights. "Your old life put you in this mess. This new one will keep you breathing. You can't make that decision for me." "You're right. I can't." He turned back to her. "So you have to. Stay here, be safe, and give me time to handle the Vulovs or walk out that door. Go back to your apartment and just hope they decide you're not a threat before they find you. It wasn't a choice. Not really. They both knew it. Emma got up, her legs wobbly. Where do I sleep? Adrian's expression softened just a tiny bit. Second door on your left. The bathroom's stocked. I'm right down the hall if you need anything. She picked up her bag and walked toward the bedroom, but stopped in the doorway. Why did you stop for me last night? On the street? You could have just kept going. Adrian was quiet for a long moment. I'm not sure. You looked like you'd been through something awful, like you were desperate to be seen. He met her eyes. And I saw you. Emma felt her throat tighten up. She gave him a single nod and disappeared into the bedroom before she could start crying. The room was bigger than her entire apartment. A king-sized bed with crisp white sheets, a window seat with a view of the whole skyline, abstract art on the walls. Everything was perfect, expensive, and totally not her. Emma turned the lock, dropped her bag, and sank onto the bed. The mattress was ridiculously comfortable, a kind of soft that probably cost a fortune. Model. She stared at her dead phone like it was a bomb. Turning it on meant getting hit with a tidal wave of calls from her mom and angry texts from Victoria, a full-scale assault from the life she just torched. She hit the power button anyway. Boom. 43 missed calls, 61 texts. Emma scrolled through, completely numb. Her mom was spiraling. Victoria was furious. A few coworkers were checking in, and then a message from Ryan. Her thumb hovered over his name. Don't do it. Don't let it get to you. She opened it. I hear you told your mom on us. That's low, Emma. Victoria's really crushed. Can you just let us have our happiness? She read that garbage 3 times, a shard of ice forming in her chest. Her reply was one sentence, "Go to hell." With shaking hands, she started cutting ties. His number nuked. Victoria's vaporized. Her mom's deleted. Then the screen went black. In the silence that followed, Emma could feel the city buzzing, a million people just living, totally clueless that her entire world had just turned to ash. She curled up on the sofa, still in her work scrubs, staring at a blank wall until her eyes burned. Sleep wasn't an option. She was trapped in a highlight reel from hell. The bus, the flash of a blade, Adrian's warning, the shadow looming at her door. It was a nightmare on a loop. Just after midnight, a sound broke through the static. Footsteps, a faucet running, Adrian just moving around like nothing was wrong with the universe. Emma wondered what it felt like to be him, to move through life with that low-key authority, that insane power to say something and have it become law. She wondered what it was like to not feel invisible. Around 200 a.m., exhaustion finally took her out. She had messed up dreams of missing buses, elevators with no doors, and drowning while crowds just walked by. She woke to a sliver of dawn and a soft knock. Emma, you awake? Adrian's voice was deep and cautious. She sat up, completely lost, her neck on fire from how she'd slept. Yeah, I'm up. I've made coffee and breakfast if you want it. A loud growl from her stomach answered for her. She couldn't even remember her last meal, except for some gross cafeteria sandwich. Give me 5 minutes. She walked into a bathroom made of cold marble. The towels were ridiculously soft. The soap probably cost more than her rent. She tried to make herself look human and pretty much failed. Her hair was a disaster, her scrubs were a wrinkled mess, and the dark circles under her eyes looked like bruises. When she walked out, Adrian was in the kitchen, rocking jeans and a black t-shirt that fit him way too well. his hair still damp. He looked at her, and a tiny smile played on his lips. "You look exhausted." "Thanks." Every girl's dream compliment. That smile got bigger. "I mean, you look like you need to actually sleep. When was the last time you got a real night's rest?" Emma had to stop and think. "I honestly don't know." "Then that's your only job today. Eat, sleep, don't think about a thing." He slid a plate across this counter, eggs, toast, some fruit. "Sit." She was too tired to argue, so she sat, and suddenly she was starving. It was a simple meal, but felt like heaven, way better than anything she'd eaten in months. Adrienne poured her coffee, then leaned against the counter, just watching her. "What?" she asked with her mouth full. "Nothing. It's just nice to see someone actually enjoy their food." "When you live on ramen and protein bars," she confessed, "this is a 5-star meal." Something flashed in his eyes, maybe pity or something that went deeper. "You won't have to live like that anymore." Emma dropped her fork. "I'm not a charity case." "I didn't say you were." "Then stop acting like I am." They locked eyes for a second, the vibe suddenly getting super tense. Then Adrian put his hands up like he was surrendering. "You're right. My mistake." Emma went back to eating, a little less pissed off. They sat there in silence while the city woke up outside. "Can I ask you something?" Emma finally said. "Always. Why do you live alone in a place this massive?" Adrian looked around the apartment like he was seeing it for the first time. "I don't know. Guess I need the room. Space to think." His gaze locked back onto hers. "It gets lonely, though." "Is that what your place felt like?" "Lonely all the time," Emma blurted out before she could stop herself. Adrian's whole face softened, his guard dropping for a second. "Not here. Not with you here." It should have felt like a cheap pickup line, the kind of thing that makes you put your walls up. But instead, it felt like a promise. And for the first time in forever, Emma didn't feel like a ghost. 3 days went by in a weird, quiet fog. Emma slept more than she had in years, waking up in this huge bed each morning to the bizarre reality of her situation. The apartment was her silent fortress during the day. Adrian was gone before dawn and back after dark, and the first thing he always did was check on her. "Did you eat?" he'd ask. "Yes." "Anyone bother you?" "No." "Good." These quick check-ins became their thing. Sometimes he'd hang around, ask about her day, or share some random detail about his. Other times he'd just disappear into his office, a ghost until morning. Emma explored the penthouse like it was a museum she was trapped in. She found a library with shelves that went all the way to the ceiling, a perfect gym that looked like it had never been used, and a terrace she was too scared to go out on because of the insane height. The whole place was gorgeous, expensive, and had absolutely no soul. Like Adrian hired a designer to build a life he never actually bothered to live in. On the 4th morning, she found him in the kitchen with his laptop open, a cold cup of coffee next to him. "You look like crap," she said. He looked up, his eyes totally bloodshot. "Thanks. You sleep at all?" "Not really." Emma poured herself some coffee and sat across from him. "What are you working on?" "You." Her stomach instantly knotted up. "What the hell is that supposed to mean?" Adrian snapped the laptop shut and rubbed his face. "The Volovs. I'm trying to figure out how to make you disappear from their radar. And it's not easy. Everything about you is a headache." Emma held on to her warm mug. "Tell me anyway." He stared at her for a long moment like he was trying to decide if she could handle the truth. They're asking questions, hunting down every single passenger from that bus. So far, 2 of them have vanished. One turned up in the East River yesterday. The coffee in her stomach turned to acid. Oh, God. I put the word out that you're under my protection. That should buy us some time. Should? The Volovs and I, we have an understanding. We don't mess with each other's business. But this, he gestured around them. This is me getting involved. So now I'm a problem. You're a complication. What's the difference? Adrian gave her a smile that was ice cold. Problems get eliminated. Complications just need a new plan. Emma put her mug down before her shaking hands could give her away. You talk about people dying like it's just business. Because in my world, he said, it is. Your world is nuts. Yes, he agreed, and the way he said it was terrifying. It is. They just sat in the thick silence. Outside, the city was roaring, traffic, sirens, all the normal sounds of normal people. I need to know, Emma finally said. And I want the truth. Okay. Are you using me? Is this whole thing just some big move against the Volovs? Adrian's entire body went stiff. Is that what you think? I don't know what to think. You just show up out of nowhere. You knew exactly where I'd be. You have all this insane power. It's all a little too convenient, right? Giving you leverage. You think you're leverage? He asked, his voice dangerously low. Am I wrong? He shot up from his chair, turning his back to her to stare out the window. When he finally spoke again, his voice was tight with some emotion she couldn't figure out. That night, when I saw you standing in the rain, looking like the world had beat you down one too many times, I had a choice. I could have just driven by, stayed out of it, and let whatever was going to happen happen. But you didn't. No. He turned to face her. Because you reminded me of someone who got crushed by powerful men who didn't have a conscience. And I thought, just this once, maybe I could do more than just survive. Maybe I could actually help. Who did I remind you of? Adrian's jaw tightened. My sister, before she died. Those words hung in the air between them, thick with ancient pain. I'm sorry, Emma whispered. It was a long time ago. He walked back toward the table but didn't sit. The truth, Emma, is that you walked into my life at the worst possible time. I was already looking into the Volovs for my own reasons, and then you basically fell into my lap, a witness, vulnerable, with nowhere to go. The smart move was to have Marcus set you up somewhere safe and then just forget you existed. So why didn't you bounce? Because I physically couldn't. His eyes locked onto hers, totally raw. The second you looked at me on that street, something inside me flipped, and I have no clue what to do about it. Emma's heart started doing a drum solo against her ribs. This is nuts. I know. You're a stranger, I'm a stranger. I know, he repeated, closing in. But I want to change that. Is that insane? 100%. Just say the word and I'll back off. I'll handle the Volovs, keep you safe, and when it's done, you can ghost me. I won't even follow. Emma pictured her tiny apartment, her soul-sucking job, and her family who only hit her up for cash. She thought about being invisible, fading out every single day. But what if I don't want you to stop? The words just flew out of her mouth. Adrienne went completely still. Well, then we've got a problem. I thought I was just a complication. You're both. He erased the last bit of space between them, his whole vibe electric. This can't happen, Emma. My life is what I am. This isn't some shallow puddle you can just dip your toe in. This is the whole freaking ocean, all or nothing. Maybe I'm tired of nothing. You have no idea what you're saying. Don't you dare tell me what I know. She shot to her feet, matching his stare. My entire life has been about making myself smaller, quieter, saying sorry for existing. And look where it got me. Nowhere, with no one. So maybe crazy is exactly what I need. Adrienne's hand came up, his fingers cupping her jaw, his thumb tracing her cheek. I can't promise you safety, he admitted, and I definitely can't give you a normal life. Safety, she whispered back, wasn't even on her list. Normalcy was the last thing she wanted. Emma's voice dropped to a whisper. I just need to feel like I matter. You already do, then prove it. The kiss wasn't sweet, and it sure wasn't shy. It was a straight-up, desperate collision, like a dam inside him finally gave way. Emma met him with the same fire, her hands grabbing his shirt, yanking him closer. When they finally broke for air, totally breathless, Adrienne rested his forehead against hers. This is an objectively terrible idea. The absolute worst, Emma breathed back. 1 week. She pulled back, locking eyes with him. What? Just give me 1 week to show you what this world is really like. What it actually is. Not cooped up in this apartment, but out there, right by my side. If at the end of the week you still want to walk, I'll let you. I'll make sure you're safe, set you up somewhere new, and you'll never have to see me again. And if I decide not to leave, his smile was slow and seriously dangerous. Then he said, we find out just how far this rabbit hole goes. Emma knew the smart, logical answer was a hard no. Instead, she asked, so when do we start? Tonight? Adriana's phone buzzed. One look at the screen and his whole face turned to stone. I have to go handle something. Wait here. Marcus is downstairs if you need anything. What kind of something? The Volovs. I have a meeting with Dmitri. He's the head of the family. I'm going to make him understand that you are completely off limits. A shot of pure fear went through Emma's chest. Is it dangerous? Everything I do is dangerous. He gave her a fast kiss on the forehead. I'll be back before dinner, and then we're going out. Where? You'll see. He was gone before she could ask anything else, leaving Emma alone with her brain spinning and the phantom feeling of his kiss. She tried to get lost in a book from his library, but couldn't focus for a second. She tried watching TV, but everything felt pointless and fake. In the end, she just paced the apartment, checking her phone like a maniac, even though there was no one she could even call. Around 3 p.m., Marcus showed up with grocery bags. Mr. Castellano sent these, he said, setting them on the kitchen counter. He figured you might be in the mood to cook. Emma just stared at the stuff. Fresh vegetables, amazing cuts of meat, real butter. He thinks of everything, doesn't he? It's his thing. Marcus paused by the door. Can I be real for a sec, Ms. Carter? Emma? I've worked for Mr. Castellano for 8 years. I've seen him with a lot of people. He has never looked at anyone the way he looks at you. Is that supposed to be a warning? It's just a fact. Marcus's expression was impossible to read. He's a good man in a very bad business. Try to remember that when stuff gets messy. After he left, Emma started unpacking, wondering what to make. She wasn't some master chef. She'd never had the chance to practice in her tiny kitchen with its cheap gear. But Adrienne's kitchen was a professional's dream, packed with top-tier gadgets and perfectly sharp knives. She settled on pasta carbonara, simple but classy. By the time Adrienne got back at 6:30, the whole place smelled like garlic and bacon, and a table was set for two. He stopped dead in the doorway, taking in the scene. "You cooked?" Try not to sound so surprised. "I've got a few tricks up my sleeve, so I'm seeing." He took off his jacket, loosening his tie. "How was your day?" "It was quiet. Nothing happened." "And your meeting with Dimitri?" Adrienne's face went completely blank. "It was productive. That's not a real answer. An agreement was reached. He'll leave you alone. In exchange, I owe him a favor." A cold knot twisted in Emma's stomach. "What kind of favor?" "The kind I'll deal with when it's time." He walked over to the table, pulling out her chair. "For now, let's just eat." "This looks incredible." The pasta was decent, not mind-blowing, but solid. They ate and talked about random stuff, and Emma felt herself, against all logic, actually start to relax. Adrienne had this dry sense of humor that kept catching her off guard, and when he let out a real smile, it changed his entire face. After they ate, he disappeared into his room and came back holding a black dress. "This is for you," he said, holding it out. Emma took it, the expensive silk feeling cool in her hands. "Where are we going exactly?" "Dancing." "I can't dance." "Neither can I." "We'll figure it out as we go." The dress fit her like it was custom made, which was impossible since Adrienne had never asked for her size. Emma stared at her reflection, barely knowing the woman looking back. The dress was simple but elegant, showing just enough to be tempting without being trashy. She found Adrienne in the living room, decked out in a suit that probably cost more than her yearly salary. He checked her out with a slow, appreciative look, his eyes getting darker. "You look amazing." A blush crept up Emma's cheeks. "You don't look so bad yourself." "Come on," he said, "we're going to be late." The club was in a part of Manhattan Emma had never even seen, the kind of place where you had to know someone just to find the door. Inside was all dim lights, smooth jazz, and people who looked like they'd just stepped off a magazine cover. Adrienne steered her through the crowd, his hand resting on the small of her back. She saw how people stared at them, or really stared at him, with this mix of respect and terror, like they knew exactly who he was and what he was capable of. He led them to a hidden booth in the back. A waitress appeared instantly with champagne Emma never saw him order. "On the house, Mr. Castellano." "Thanks, Diane." When they were alone again, Emma raised an eyebrow. "Come here often. I own the place." "Of course you do." He smirked, pouring them both a glass. "To new beginnings." Emma clinked her glass against his. "And to terrible ideas." The champagne was unreal, way better than anything she'd ever had. Tiny bubbles fizzed on her tongue. On the dance floor, couples were swaying to the band's slow, sexy rhythm. "Tell me about your sister," Emma said after a bit. Adrienne's smile completely vanished. "That's a heavy topic for a first date. Is that what this is?" "A date? I don't know what else you'd call it." "Then tell me," she pushed. "I need to know." He was quiet for a long time, just staring into his glass. "Her name was Sophia. She was 4 years younger than me, super bright, loved life, wanted to be a teacher." His jaw tightened. "We grew up in Queens. Our dad was a nobody, a construction worker when he could get it. Our mom cleaned houses. We didn't have much, but mostly we were happy." "What happened?" "I started hanging with the wrong people. I was running small-time jobs for a local crew, making bank, more in a week than my dad made in a month. I thought I was being smart, helping the family." He let out a harsh laugh. "I was 17 years old and a total moron. Emma just waited, knowing there was more to the story. Sophia found out what I was into and she begged me to quit. We fought. She threatened to tell our parents. Adrian's knuckles went white around his glass. The guys I worked for heard about it and saw her as a liability. They snatched her off the street one afternoon on her way home from school. 3 days later, they found her body in a dumpster in the Bronx. Adrian, I finished every last one of them, he muttered. Every single person involved. It took me 2 years, but I made sure they all paid. And when it was all done, I realized I was good at it. Good at finding problems and making them vanish. At being the guy that other guys are scared of. Emma reached over, her hand covering his. I am so sorry, don't be. I picked this road. I built this empire with my own hands. He met her gaze, but sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I'd just walked away. If I'd been normal, you would have been miserable. He let out a surprised laugh. What makes you say that? Because people like us, we don't fit in that normal world. We're too broken, got too many sharp edges. A normal life would feel like slowly suffocating. Emma squeezed his hand. At least in this life, you're free. Adrian stared at her like he was really seeing her for the very first time. How can you possibly get what I am because I don't? It freaks me out. She downed the rest of her glass. But my entire life has been me being freaked out and following the rules, and look where that got me. So maybe it's time to try freaked out and totally reckless. You are not at all what I expected. Good. Expectations are a total trap. The vibe of the music changed, getting slower, more intimate. Adrian got up and offered his hand. Dance with me. I already said I'm not a dancer, and I already said we'll figure it out as we go. On the floor, he pulled her in close, one hand on her waist, the other holding hers. Emma had always been a mess when dancing, way too in her own head, too aware of her body. But with Adrian, none of that even registered. He led with this calm confidence, and she just found herself going with it, their bodies moving like they'd done this 100 times already. This is nice, she mumbled against his shoulder. It is. But tomorrow I need the truth, the entire truth, about your job, about what getting involved with you would actually mean. Adrian pulled back just enough to look her in the eye. Are you positive? No, but I'm asking you anyway. Fine, he gave in. Tomorrow you'll get the truth. He kissed her on the temple. But for right now, this is all we have. They stayed out there until Emma's feet were killing her and the champagne had made her brain fuzzy. Adrian took her home, to the penthouse she was dangerously starting to see as her own place, and walked her right to her bedroom door. My thanks, Emma breathed, for tonight, for giving me this shot. Her kiss was slow and deep, and it left both of them catching their breath. When she pulled away, Adrian's eyes had gone dark with some serious want. Just 1 week, she whispered as a reminder. 1 week, he agreed, his voice a deep rumble. Emma ducked into her room, slamming the door on a heart that was pounding against her ribs. She could feel him standing in the hall for a second before his footsteps finally faded. Changed for bed, she just lay there staring up, her life now split into 2 clean parts. Everything before Adrian and everything that came after. Tomorrow, the truth would be on the table. Tomorrow, she'd have to decide if she could actually handle his world. But for this one night, she'd let herself feel wanted, seen, like she was someone who mattered. And for the first time in what felt like forever, Emma went to sleep with a smile. She woke up with the sun filling her room and the smell of coffee in the air. For just a second, she soaked in the comfort the quiet, the calm. Then the reality of the day came crashing down. Today was the day Adrian would reveal the whole truth about his life and what it would take for her to be a part of it. Dressed in jeans and a new shirt he had somehow provided, Emma found him in the kitchen, lost in his tablet. "Morning," he said, his eyes still glued to the screen. "Morning." She got some coffee and sat down across from him. "So, the truth?" Adrian set his tablet down, giving her his complete attention. "What is it you have to know?" "Everything. Start with what you actually do. The no-filter version." He took a slow breath. "I run a network that solves problems for extremely rich and powerful clients. Sometimes that means providing security. Other times it's digging up information. And sometimes it's making certain people disappear." "Disappear?" Emma repeated. "You mean you get rid of them?" "On occasion, not every time. But yeah, that's part of the job." A cold lump formed in Emma's gut, but she kept her voice steady. "How many people have you personally gotten rid of? Are you positive you want that number?" "Yes." 23 with my own hands. The number's bigger if you count the ones I ordered." 23. The number bounced around her head as she tried to connect it to the guy who made her breakfast, the guy who danced with her. "Do you feel bad?" "For some of them." The rest of them got what they had coming. His eyes were locked on hers. "I get how that probably sounds. I know you're seeing a monster. I'm seeing someone complicated." "That's a nice way to put it." Emma held her mug like a lifeline. "Tell me about the Vulovs. What you did to make sure I was safe." "Dmitri needed to be sure you weren't a problem. I gave him your phone logs, your work schedule, your whole life story on a platter. I proved you were exactly what you look like. A regular person in the wrong place at the wrong time. And he bought it. He figured the favor I owed him was worth more than taking you out." Adrienne's expression went hard. "I made it crystal clear that if his people so much as touched you, I would burn his entire operation to the ground. You would have done it?" "Yes." The absolute certainty in his voice sent a shiver straight through Emma's soul. "What's this favor that he has on you?" "I don't know yet. That's how these deals work. He'll call it in when he needs something and I'll have to do it. That doesn't scare you?" "Everything scares me, Emma. I'm just better at hiding it than most people." She looked at him from across the table, this guy who'd ended 23 lives, who ran a criminal empire, who had flipped her entire world upside down in under a week. "Why me? And don't give me that line about your sister. Why are you really doing any of this?" Adrian was quiet for a long moment. When he finally spoke, his voice was thick with emotion. "Because I saw you, and I saw someone that life had beaten up but who just refused to stay down. Someone who deserved way more than the world had ever given her. And I had this idea that maybe if I could help you, give you a real chance, it might start to balance things out. For all the bad I've done, all the darkness, maybe one single good thing could actually count for something." "I am not your ticket to redemption, Adrian." "I know. But you could be the reason I start looking for it." Emma's throat felt tight. She stood up and went to the window, staring out at the city spread out below. "If I stay, if I do this week and whatever comes next, what am I?" "You'd be someone who decided to actually live instead of just surviving. I'd be an accomplice to what you do." "Yes," he admitted quietly. "You would." She whipped around to look at him. Then you need to get this. I'm not going to be some mob wife who pretends she doesn't know what her husband is up to. If I'm in this, I'm all in. I'll know your business, I'll have an opinion on it, and I'll probably drive you completely insane. A slow, real smile spread over Adrian's face. I'm counting on it. I'm serious. I'm not going to bend myself into a shape that fits your world. I would never ask you to. He walked over to her, closing the space and taking her hands. I'm into you exactly the way you are. The way you call me on my crap. The way you refuse to be scared. The way you see me as a man. Not just some creature of the night. But you are a monster. I know. But you see something else in me too. Something more. Adrienne pulled her into a hug, resting his chin on her hair. 1 week. That's what we agreed. 6 days left for you to figure out if you can actually live with all this. Emma wrapped her arms around his waist, holding on like he was a life raft. What's the plan for today? I have a meeting this afternoon that I can't move. Come with me. See what my life is actually like. Is that safe? Marcus will be there, plus 3 other guys I'd trust with my life. You'll be safe. Emma pulled back to look him in the eyes. You're really going to show me all the ugly stuff? You said you wanted honest. This is what it looks like. 2 hours later, Emma was in the back of Adrian's SUV. Marcus was driving, and they were heading to a warehouse in Brooklyn. She was in a different outfit now. Dark jeans and a leather jacket he'd produced out of thin air, with heeled boots that made her feel a little dangerous. You look terrified, Adrian observed from beside her. I am. Good. Fear keeps you sharp. He squeezed her hand for support. Stay right next to me. Don't say a word unless I introduce you. And if I give you the signal to leave, you go with Marcus immediately. No arguments. You're really selling this experience. A small smile touched his lips. I just need you to know what you're walking into. The warehouse was a total underworld cliché, gray, industrial, and radiating bad vibes. Marcus pulled up to a side entrance where a couple of guys in suits were on watch. They gave Adrienne a respectful nod and made a point of not even looking at Emma. The inside was a weird setup, looking like an office with desks and computers where people were working silently. Still, you could feel this layer of controlled violence hanging in the air. Adrian led her through the space with a hand on her lower back, and Emma could feel every single person's eyes on her. She kept her back straight and her expression blank, a mask she had gotten really good at wearing in the hospital during life and death situations. Their walk ended in a conference room where 3 men were already waiting. All 3 men stood up when Adrian entered. After some quick hellos, their eyes all shifted to Emma. This is Emma, Adrian said. No frills. She's with me. That seemed to be all the explanation they needed. They nodded and sat back down. The meeting was all about logistics, shipping details, payment methods, and a problem with a buyer down in Miami. Emma listened closely, trying to translate their coded language. It slowly hit her that they weren't talking about car parts. They were talking about guns, a very large shipment of them. Adrian ran the meeting with a cold efficiency, making quick calls and giving out orders. It was a different side of him, more detached, tougher, and way more calculating. The guy who made her breakfast this morning was a ghost. Once the meeting wrapped and they were alone, Adrienne zeroed in on her. You good? You sell weapons, among other things. To who? To people who need them for reasons I don't ask about. Emma's head was spinning. This is a lot. I know. He guided her out of the warehouse to the SUV. We can call it. Go back to the apartment. Forget this week ever happened. But Emma just shook her head no. She'd asked for this, to see his world. No. Show me everything. Adrian stared her down for a hot second, then gave a sharp nod. All right then. Next stop. They hit 3 more spots that afternoon. A nightclub that was just a front for washing dirty money. Next up was a restaurant where Adrian met a judge who was obviously on his payroll, then a parking garage where some kind of drop went down that Emma actively tried not to see. By the time they got back to the penthouse, it was dark, and Emma's head was pounding. I need a drink, a strong one, she announced. Adrian poured them both a whiskey. They sat there in the quiet, watching the city lights flicker. So, he finally said, breaking the silence. What's the verdict? Emma downed her drink in one go. You weren't kidding. Your life is complicated. That's one way to put it. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not okay with what I saw today. The guns, the illegal cash, the fact that people are straight up terrified of you. She finally turned to face him. But I also watched you run it all with more brains and skill than any legit CEO I've ever met. You're not just some goon. You're a damn strategist, a genius. Is that supposed to make it okay? It doesn't make it okay. It makes it real. Emma stood up and walked to the window. I spent all day watching you rule your kingdom, and you know what I kept thinking? What? That I wanted in on it. A crazy, wild laugh burst out of her. I'm totally losing it. I know it. But watching you own that room, seeing the mix of respect and fear you command, I felt drawn to it. I wanted to have that kind of power. Adrian stepped up behind her, placing his hands on her shoulders. You have that kind of power over me. I get that, she whispered, turning around in his arms. But I need to matter to myself. Her voice was barely there. My whole life, I've been a nobody. But with you, today I felt like somebody, powerful just by being near you. Is that messed up? No, he said. It's human. With a raw, desperate hunger, Emma's lips crashed into his, and Adrian matched her fire. They broke apart, gasping for air, before she spoke again, her voice low. Give me the rest of the week. Every single second. Show me everything. She locked eyes with him. Adrian, I'm not some fragile doll. I won't break. Show me your entire world, and then I'll decide if I can handle it. His eyes bored into hers. You sure about that? No, she admitted, but I'm walking into the fire anyway. A real warm smile finally cracked through his armor. You're here to totally wreck my world, aren't you? Probably. Good, he breathed, kissing her on the forehead. I could use a little chaos. Over dinner on the terrace, something new sparked between them. Emma, no longer dizzy, talked about small things and big truths. Adrian, in return, told her about growing up in Queens, his first gig for a guy named Vincent Romano, and the exact moment he realized he was capable of violence. Emma talked about her own baggage, a family who only saw her as a letdown, the betrayal from Ryan and Victoria, and the wedding invite that kicked this whole thing off. You still love him? Adrian asked, his voice quiet. No, she admitted, staring out at the city. I don't think I ever did. I was in love with the idea of being loved by someone like him. I was so desperate to be seen. I never realized he wasn't even looking. None of them ever really saw you, he said. But I do. I know. She reached out and took his hand, their fingers intertwining. That's what scares me the most. A peaceful silence fell over them as the city lights blurred together. and a bone-deep exhaustion took over Emma. At her door, Adrian gave her a quick goodnight kiss, and she crashed into a sleep filled with images of guns and cash and the addictive feeling of power. Only 4 days left. 4 days to figure out if she could actually live in Adrian Castellano's world. But as she fell asleep, a deeper truth hit her. The choice was already made. It was done with that first kiss when she begged him to show her everything. She was in way too deep to ever come up for air. And the scariest part? She didn't want to. The next morning, Emma was jolted awake by her phone vibrating like crazy. She'd had it on silent for days, trying to block out the world, but turned it on out of habit last night. Now it was buzzing with a call from a blocked number. She hesitated for a second, then on a whim she answered. "Hello, Emma Carter." The voice was a woman's, all business and zero warmth. "Who is this?" "My name is Detective Sarah Chen, NYPD. I need to ask you some questions about an incident on a city bus about a week ago." A chill shot through Emma's body. She sat straight up in bed, instantly awake. "I already gave a statement." "No, Miss Carter." The voice cut her off. "You did not. You left the scene before our officers arrived. You're currently on record as a material witness who refused to cooperate with an ongoing investigation." "I didn't refuse, Emma trailed off. What could she even say? That some mysterious dude warned her off, and now she was living in his penthouse while he negotiated with criminals for her? "I'd like you to come down to the precinct today to clear a few things up." "I don't know if that's possible." "That wasn't a request, Miss Carter." The line went dead. Emma just sat there, the phone feeling like a brick in her hand as a sense of dread twisted in her gut. She threw on some clothes and found Adrian in his office, finishing a call. He held up a finger, wrapping it up in a burst of angry Italian before focusing on her. "What's wrong?" As she explained the detective's call, Adrian's expression turned to stone with every word. "Did you tell her you were going?" "No, I had no idea what to say." He stood up, whipping out his phone and stabbing at the screen. "Detective Sarah Chen, you said?" "Yeah. How did you—" "I'm handling it." He made another call, his voice again sharp and commanding in Italian. After he hung up, he looked back at Emma. "You're not going to talk to her. You're not going to talk to anyone from the NYPD. If they call again, you don't answer." "Adrian, I can't just ignore the cops." "You can," he shot back, "when they're fishing. Chen isn't investigating the bus incident. That case was closed 3 days ago when their main suspect turned up dead in New Jersey. She's after someone else." "Who?" "Me." Adrian paced over to the window, his whole body tense. "Somebody must have tipped her off that you're staying with me. Now she's trying to use you to get to my business." A sick feeling churned in Emma's stomach. "So this is my fault. I'm your weak spot." "No, you're the person they think they can scare." He turned, his eyes softening just a little. "But they're wrong. You don't know anything that could actually hurt me, and even if you did, you wouldn't talk." "How can you be so sure?" "Because you're still here," he said, plain and simple. "Because you chose to see my world instead of running from it. Because you're way stronger than they'll ever know." And Emma wanted so badly to believe him. She wanted to feel that rock-solid confidence he had, but instead she just felt like she was drowning. "What if they arrest me for obstruction?" "They won't." "You can't guarantee that." "Yes," he said, his voice leaving no room for argument. "I can." Adrian's phone buzzed, and as he glanced at the screen, his jaw clenched. "I have to handle this. Stay here." Don't answer your phone. Don't open the door for anyone but Marcus. Where are you going? To make sure Detective Chen understands that you are off limits. A jolt of pure fear shot through her. What does that mean, Adrian? You can't just go after a cop. I'm not going to hurt anyone. I'm just going to have a conversation. He kissed her, quick and already halfway out the door. Trust me. Then he was gone, leaving Emma alone with the chaos in her head and the sick feeling that she had just made things 1,000 times worse. She tried to distract herself with breakfast she had no appetite for and a book she couldn't focus on. Anything to stop her thoughts from spiraling. It was pointless. By noon, she was a prisoner in the fancy apartment, pacing and jumping at every little sound. At 1 p.m., Marcus showed up with lunch she knew she wouldn't eat. He's fine, Marcus said, easily picking up on her panic. The boss knows how to deal with the cops. Does he? This seems like a great way to end up in jail for life. Mr. Castellano isn't the one who does time, Marcus said deadpan. The people who cross him do. Emma could only stare at him. And that's supposed to make me feel better? It's supposed to make you understand who you're with. Marcus set the food down. Look, I get it. You're scared. This life is terrifying. But Adrian is the king of this jungle, and this jungle is all about survival. Stick with him, you survive with him. Unless I stop being useful. You're not a liability, he stated, his voice dropping. You're the only soul in 8 years I've seen him give a damn about. Marcus headed for the door. That makes you the single most protected asset in this entire city. After he left, Emma stared out at the city below. So many people with their normal lives and normal problems. She could have been one of them. She should have been. Instead, she was waiting for a dangerous man to return from strong-arming a detective for her. Her phone buzzed again. It was Detective Chen. Emma hit ignore, then blocked the number. 10 minutes went by and it rang from a new number. She blocked that one too. The third time, Emma finally caved, her voice strained. Leave me alone. Miss Carter, I'd seriously rethink that. Obstructing a federal investigation is a huge deal. I know, Jack. I was on a bus. Guys came on, took another guy, and I bounced. That's all I know. And your connection to Adrian Castellano? Emma's knuckles went white around the phone. I have no connection to Adriana Castellano. Is that right? My intel says you've been living at his private penthouse for the last week. Some story, huh? A nursing assistant who can't make rent is suddenly living with one of New York's most infamous men. I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, I think you do, Chen shot back. And when you're ready to get real, you'll find I can be a very powerful friend. Witness protection, a new identity, a total reset, far from all this. The detective's voice dropped to a conspiratorial whisper. Think it over, Emma. Is he really worth taking the fall for? The line went dead. Emma stood there, frozen, Chen's pitch echoing in her head. A clean slate, a new life, an out. The offer was a gut punch. Yet when she imagined it, leaving, going back to her old life, all she felt was a massive, empty void. Adrian saw the truth in her. She didn't want the safety of a normal life anymore. She wanted to matter. She wanted that raw, electric feeling of being alive, even if it led to her own ruin. He got back 2 hours later, looking drained but with a grim look of victory in his eyes. Emma was on him the second he walked in. What did you do? We had a chat, Adrienne said. He sighed, loosening his tie. I simply reminded Detective Chen about that internal affairs review of her work from the past 6 months. Allegations of evidence tampering. I just suggested how bad it would be if that investigation suddenly found new solid proof. Emma's jaw dropped. You threatened a cop. I advised her to focus on cases with actual evidence instead of chasing hunches that would torch her career. That's blackmail. That's leverage. Adrian poured a drink and downed it in one shot. She won't be a problem for you again. You can't know that for sure, Emma whispered. He turned to face her, his gaze solid. For 15 years, this has been my world. I handle cops, I handle criminals, I handle the gray area between them. Chen will back down because she's smart enough to know when she's been completely outplayed. Emma wanted to scream at him, to yell that this was crazy, that it was all going to blow up. But all she said was, "She called me again while you were out. She offered a new start, a different life, if I would flip on you." A dangerous stillness took over Adrian's face. And your answer? I told her she had the wrong girl and hung up. And you meant it. You're not having second thoughts. Emma moved in closer, framing his face with her hands. I'm having all the thoughts. This is insane, twisted, and will probably end in a spectacular crash, but I'm not running. I gave you my word for 1 week. A bit of the tension eased from Adrian's shoulders. He pulled her into a hug, holding her like she was an anchor. 3 more days. The thought echoed in her mind. For a moment, they just stood there, breathing in sync, pulling strength from each other. Then Adrian pulled back. Get changed? Something nice? We have a meeting. Where? To see someone who's very interested in meeting you. An hour later, Emma was in another dress from a world she didn't belong to, a deep sapphire blue that made her eyes look like slate. They were driven to a restaurant in Tribeca, the type of joint where tables are booked months out and the menus have no prices. Who are we meeting? Emma asked for the 3rd time. Someone important. That tells me nothing. A small smile touched Adrian's lips. Patience. The place was as fancy as Emma expected, a blur of white linen, quiet voices, and waiters who moved like ninjas. Adrian led her to a private room where a woman was waiting. She looked to be in her 60s, her silver hair in a perfect bun, her eyes sharp and missing nothing. Her face lit up seeing Adrian. Adrian, my dear. She stood, kissing both his cheeks. It's been entirely too long. Hello, Sophia. The woman's attention then snapped to Emma, sizing her up with a single expert glance. And you must be Emma. I've heard quite a bit about you. Emma's eyes darted to Adrian, who suddenly found a spot on the far wall incredibly interesting. You have. It's all he mentions lately. A welcome shift. He's usually so buried in work. Sophia motioned for them to sit. I am Sophia Marinette. I've known Adrian since he was 18 and making absolutely awful choices in Queens. So a very long time, Emma quipped, earning a quiet laugh from Sophia. I like her, Sophia said to Adrian. She's got some grit. They ordered food. Emma was too on edge to even think about eating. Sophia launched her questions, not quite an interrogation, but a very careful line of questioning. Her background, her job, how they met. Emma gave her the truth, minus the parts about guns on public transit and prying detectives. Adrian tells me you're considering stepping into our world, Sophia said after a while. Your world, the business, this life. Sophia's expression was incredibly knowing. It's not a small choice. Once you're in, there's no easy way out. I'm starting to figure that out. Are you? Sophia leaned closer. Because from my perspective, you look like a woman still trying to convince herself this is the right move. Emma felt Adrian go rigid beside her, but she held Sophia's gaze. I'm not trying to convince myself of anything. I'm trying to understand the deal before I sign on. Smart. Too many jump in blind and get lost. Sophia lifted her wine glass. And what's your read on our Adrian? I think he's dangerous, complicated, and is going to give me a heart attack before this is over. And yet you're still here. And yet I'm still here. A genuine smile broke through on Sophia's lips. A good answer. Honesty is a rare thing in this business. The dinner shifted to lighter conversation, with Sophia telling stories from Adrian's early days. He looked increasingly pained as Emma was treated to tales of his old mistakes and close calls. There was this one time, Sophia started, a playful glint in her eye, when Adriana decided to take on the Vratva alone, walked straight into their HQ, and demanded they stop moving product through his turf. I was 22 and reckless, Adrian muttered. You were 22 and lucky they appreciated your guts enough to let you live. Sophia looked directly at Emma. He walked away with 2 broken ribs and a concussion. But he got what he came for. Emma just stared at Adrian. You took on the Russian Mafia by yourself. Like I said, I was reckless. You were bold, Sophia corrected. Reckless and bold aren't mutually exclusive. As dinner wrapped up, Sophia said her goodbyes, telling Emma to call her if she ever needed help. A woman's advice, a confidant, a way out. For whatever you need, I am here. In the car, Emma turned to Adrian. Who is she really? Sophia Morinet runs the most powerful information network on the East Coast. If there's a secret worth knowing, she's the one who knows it. And she's your ally. She is the closest thing I have to a family. A rare softness appeared on Adrian's face. When my life fell apart, Sophia was the one who found me, gave me a purpose, and taught me how to walk this path without losing what was left of my soul. She's incredible. She's a powerhouse. Adrian took her hand. But she likes you. That means something. Why does her opinion matter so much? Because Sophia's stamp of approval carries serious weight in our world. It means our enemies will think twice before they make a move on you. It means your safety is backed by more than just me. The penny dropped for Emma. You're positioning me, making sure I'm covered if you're not around. That is the idea. Adrian. 3 more days, Emma. 3 more days to make your choice. But no matter what you pick, your safety is my responsibility. He squeezed her hand hard. That part is not negotiable. They drove back to the penthouse in a heavy silence, each lost in their own thoughts. At her door, Adrian did his usual routine, a soft kiss goodnight. But tonight, Emma caught his hand before he could leave. Stay. Model. Adrian went completely still. Emma. But she was like, look, I'm not asking for anything but your time. I seriously just don't want to be on my own tonight. He stared into her soul for a hot minute, then gave her a slow nod. Fine. So they just crashed on the bed, fully clothed, her head right on his chest, while his arm locked her in tight. The solid beat of his heart was the only thing keeping her head from exploding. Tell me something real, she breathed into the dark. About what? About you, something nobody else gets to hear. The silence went on for so long she figured he was gonna ghost her. Then his voice hit, low and raw. You scare the hell out of me. She shot up to get a look at him. Excuse me. Everything I've built, every wall I've put up, every single line of defense. You walked through them like they were smoke, and I have zero clue how to deal with that." His hand came up, gently brushing a piece of hair off her face. "You make me want things I gave up on ages ago, normal things, a life that's more than just breathing. That's not scary, that's just being alive. In my world, being alive is a good way to get killed." Emma just laid back down on him. "Well, maybe it's time for a new world. Maybe." They just conked out like that, all tangled up. And when Emma blinked open to the morning light, Adrian was right there, still holding her, their breathing perfectly in sync. She thought about Detective Chen's offer. A clean slate, a fresh start, total safety. Then she thought about right now. Adrian's arms around her, his heart thumping under her ear, the chance to be the one person who mattered to somebody. Bro, there wasn't even a contest. The next 2 days were a total blur of meet and greets and planning sessions, and every single chat showed her another piece of Adrian's kingdom. Emma met his top guys, saw his operations in action, and started to get just how massive his reach was. This should have freaked her out way more than it did. Instead, she was totally hooked. The way Adrian got loyalty without even trying, the way he shut down problems with stone-cold precision, the way his crew looked at him. It was this mix of respect and fear with a little bit of hero worship thrown in, and he kept her glued to his side through all of it. He hid nothing. He didn't even try to sugarcoat how brutal his world was. On night number 6, her last chance to decide, Adrian took her back to the club. They were on the dance floor just like before, but this time you could feel it in the air, this unspoken fact that their entire world was about to change. "Tomorrow," Adrian whispered into her hair. "Tomorrow you make the call." "I know." "I won't be mad if you leave. I'll keep my promise. I'll make sure you're safe. Find you a new spot. I will let you go." Emma pulled back, locking eyes with him. "Is that what you want?" "I want you to be happy, safe, and free." "That's not what I asked you." Adrian's whole jaw tightened up. "I want you to stay. I want you to jump into this life, to pick me, the mess, the danger, all of it. But I'm also not stupid enough to think that isn't selfish. Maybe I want to be selfish too. Emma." She shut him up with a kiss. When they finally broke apart, both of them breathing hard, she said, "I got one more question, and I need a straight answer." "Anything." "This marker you owe Dmitry Volkov. What if his price tag puts me in danger? What if you can't protect me and pay him back at the same time?" Adrian's face turned into a block of granite. "Then I will light the entire Volkov organization on fire and deal with the consequences. You'd start a whole war for me, without even blinking." Emma's heart was trying to punch its way out of her chest. "That's completely insane." "I'm aware. You don't even know me. I know what's important." His hands held her face, his look burning holes in her. "I know you're strong, smart, and braver than you think. I know that you actually see me. The real me, not the legend, not the power, not the money. I know that if I lost you, it would rip a hole in me that I'm pretty sure I couldn't survive. Adrian, I love you." The words just ripped out of her, totally raw and exposed. "I know this is insane fast, and I know you might not be there yet, but it's the truth. And whatever you decide tomorrow doesn't change a thing." Emma felt like all the air had been sucked out of the room. Her brain just short-circuited. The beat thumped around them. The crowd was a total blur, and the whole planet kept spinning while hers just screeched to a halt. Say something, Adrian pushed, his voice low. I have no idea what to say. The truth. It's the only thing I've ever wanted from you. Emma sucked in a shaky breath, the words trembling on her lips. I think I love you, and that idea is 1,000,000 times more terrifying than any of this. He pulled her in, holding her like she was about to disappear. They swayed to the music, not even dancing anymore, just holding on for dear life. Back in the quiet of the penthouse, she walked right past her own room and followed him to his. When he turned, his eyes asking the question, she answered it with a kiss that was basically her entire soul. Their hookup was slow, almost sacred, like this delicate thing they were both scared to death of breaking. Later, as the city lights painted shadows on the ceiling, Emma knew what she had to do. I'm staying, she whispered into the dark. Adrian's whole body went stiff next to her. Are you sure? Nope, but I'm picking it anyway. She rolled over, her eyes finding his in the blackness. I'm overplaying it safe. I want this. I want you. I want to quit being nobody and be someone who's actually real. You're real to me. That's all that matters. Emma's lips just grazed his. Whatever's coming. We're in it together. He yanked her closer, and you could feel this huge wave of relief wash over him. They fell asleep, tangled up, and she had nightmares about empires on fire and a guy who could see her when no one else could. When she woke up, he was already up, just watching her. Morning, she mumbled. Good morning. He moved a single strand of hair from her cheek. Any regrets? Hit me up in a year. A tiny smile played on his lips. Deal. Her phone started buzzing on the nightstand, a totally rude interruption. She grabbed it. Some number she didn't recognize was lit up on the screen. For some stupid reason, she answered. Hello, Emma. It's your mother. A chunk of ice just formed in Emma's gut. How did you get this number? That's not important. What's important is your sister's wedding in 3 days, which you haven't RSVP'd to. I'm not going. A freezing cold silence hung in the air. I'm sorry. I'm not coming to the wedding. Tell Victoria sorry, but I can't make it. Emma Christine Carter, you will be at that wedding. I am not putting up with this childish nonsense. This isn't a family. It's you and Victoria playing house, while I'm supposed to sit there and watch the man I loved marry my own sister. I'm done pretending. I'm done making myself smaller so you guys can feel big. Where is all this sudden backbone coming from? Maybe it's about damn time. Emma sat up, feeling Adrian's hand land on her back, a warm, solid support. I am not coming, and I'm not sorry about it. If you want to be mad, be mad. But this is my life now, and I'm going to live it. She hung up, cutting off whatever her mother was about to say next. That was gutsy, Adrian said quietly. That was mandatory. Emma looked right at him. No more saying sorry for existing. No more being invisible. Starting right now, I'm here. You were always here. I get that now. Adrian's kiss was slow, intense, and felt like a final decision. Emma felt a massive shift inside her, like the last piece of her old life just turned to dust, and the new her finally clicked into place. She was done just getting by, done being ignored. Emma Carter had picked the hurricane, run toward the danger, and chosen a road that might end in total disaster, but it would be a disaster she owned. For the first time in 32 years, she felt completely terrifyingly alive. 2 days after she torched the bridge with her mom, Adrienne's phone went off at 4 in the morning. She felt him change instantly, his voice flipping from sleepy soft to razor sharp. A beat. How many? Another heavier pause. I'm on my way. He was already up, throwing on clothes in the dark as Emma sat up. What's going on? The Volkoffs, they hit a warehouse. 3 of my guys are gone, and so is $500,000 in product. Adrienne's face was unreadable in the dark. Dmitri is cashing in his chip. A cold dread started crawling up Emma's spine. What does he want? He wants me to turn a blind eye while he takes over new turf, which means I have to sign off on him taking out 2 of my own guys who are in his way. Adrienne grabbed a pistol Emma didn't even know he had. I gotta go handle this. You said you'd burn his world to the ground if he came after me. This isn't about you, it's a power play. He's trying to see how much pressure I can take before I snap. Adrienne stopped at the door. Stay here, Marcus is outside. Do not leave. Adrienne, wait. But the guy she knew was gone, and the man in the reflection of the closing elevator doors was all cold fury and ice. Emma was left alone in the dark, her mind a total wreck. So this was it. The real deal. His world was smashing into hers like a freight train. People were dead. More were probably about to be. And the whole thing rested on a debt to some psycho who treats violence like a stock trade. She paced the apartment, watching the sky change from black to a sick purple. Her phone was dead silent, no calls, no texts. They had officially cut her out. Good. Let them. Around 8 a.m., Marcus showed up with breakfast she couldn't eat and some news that tied her stomach into a damn pretzel. The Don's got to sit down with the Vulovs in 2 hours to talk terms. What kind of terms? Marcus's face was pure, stone-cold professional. The kind where someone's leaving in a Ziploc bag if this goes sideways. I gotta see him. His orders were for you to sit tight. I don't give a damn about his orders. Get me to him. Marcus just stared at her for a long, quiet second. You sure about that? Seeing the monster he becomes before a war isn't pretty? I'm sure. The warehouse had a whole different vibe during the day. Colder, sharper, the violence felt like you could touch it. Marcus led her past goons scrubbing blood off the concrete, their faces total granite. They didn't even give her a second glance as she walked past. Adrienne was in his office, spitting fire in Russian. His eyes locked on her, and his face went through a whole marathon of emotions. Shock, then worry, then a tired, of course. He killed the call. You should not be here. I know, but here I am. Adrienne waved Marcus off, waiting for the door to shut for privacy. Emma? She closed the gap between them, her hands finding his. Don't you dare tell me to stay home. If I'm in your life, I'm in all of it. This is going to get messy. I never expected it to be clean. He yanked her into a brutal hug. Dimitri's gonna demand I okay the execution of 2 of my most loyal guys. If I do it, I'm a punk who bows down. If I refuse, it's go time. So what's the play? I haven't figured it out. Adrienne leaned back. His look was intense. Part of me wants to just burn it all down. Tell Dimitri to go to hell, but that move puts a target on you. And on everyone who rolls with me. The smart play is to find a compromise. And if you can't, then bodies drop. His jaw clenched. Maybe mine with them. Emma's fingers dug into his shirt. Don't you say that. It's the reality of this world. Dimitri has wanted a reason to come at me for years. This might be it. Then don't go. Send Marcus. Send literally anyone else. Me not showing up is weakness, and weakness is a death sentence in this life. Adrian touched his lips to her forehead. I'm going. But first you're gonna promise me something. Anything. If this goes bad, if I don't come back, you get in a car with Marcus and you bounce. Sophia's got the destination. No heroics. No second guessing. You run. Promise me, Emma. She wanted to scream, to swear she'd fight next to him, but the raw fear in his eyes, not for himself but for her, killed the words on her tongue. I promise. The meet was at a hollowed-out restaurant, a boneyard of empty tables and chairs. Emma watched from Marcus's SUV, parked a half block away, binoculars glued to her face, totally ignoring Adrian's direct order. He's gonna have my head for this, Marcus grumbled. Then we'll be headless together. She could see them through the massive front window. Adrian and two of his guys on one side, Dmitry Vulov and his crew on the other. From this far out, the meeting almost looked chill. Then one of Dmitry's goons shot to his feet. Adrian didn't budge, but his whole body radiated a new tension she could feel even through the glass. It's going south, Marcus said, his hand already grabbing his phone. Before she could even process that, the restaurant's back door flew open. 4 new dudes stormed in, guns up, and the fragile peace just shattered into a full-blown war. Adrian yeeted the heavy table for cover as his men returned fire. Windows exploded, bodies dropped. A scream got stuck in Emma's throat as she saw Adrian move, a smooth, terrifyingly lethal predator. He dropped one guy, then a second, every single move precise and deadly. But the numbers were bad. Even from here, she could tell they were getting overrun. We have to do something, she begged. Miss Carter, my orders. Marcus cut himself off, his face grim. He just made a new call. He radioed for backup, drawing his gun in the same fluid move. Stay in the vehicle, secure the locks. If it is not me or the boss, you drive. Got it? Emma gave a sharp nod, jumping behind the wheel while Marcus sprinted into the mess. Through the glass, she saw the fight pop off as Adrian's crew arrived, the battle shifting around fallen bodies and stained walls. A totally brutal movie scene was playing out in front of her. Then, getting out of a car just 2 spots back, was Ryan Blake. Emma's blood went cold. Why was he here? How the hell could he know? She could only stare, paralyzed, as Ryan calmly made a call and walked into the chaos. Not away from it, but toward it, like he was coming home. In that split second, the horrible truth crashed down on Emma. Ryan was no innocent victim, no basic rich boy fiancé to Victoria. He was part of this darkness. He always had been. The realization hit her like a punch to the gut. 3 years. For 3 whole years, her heart was his, while he was acting in a shadow play she never knew existed. A new kind of resolve hardened inside her. The car door clicked open. She stepped out onto the street. Hey, she called out. Ryan spun around, his face turning to ash when he saw her. Emma, what in God's name are you doing? I could ask you the same thing, but I think I have my answer. She walked toward him, her hands shaking, but her voice rock solid. You are doing business with the Vulovs. That is why you left me for Victoria, right? There is some deal between the Blakes and the Vulovs. Ryan's jaw tightened up. You have no idea what you are saying. Oh, don't I? Your dad develops commercial real estate, right? Huge projects across the city. So let me connect the dots. The Vulovs wash their dirty cash using his buildings, and in return your family gets protection and a slice of the pie. Emma, you have to go, right now. Or you will what? Have me silenced like the guys in there?" She gestured to the restaurant's bloody aftermath. "Was that it? I was not high class enough for your syndicate? Not a valuable enough pawn?" Ryan grabbed her arm, his grip bruising. "You foolish girl, do you get the danger you are in? Adrian Castellano is already a ghost. Dimitri is going to erase him, take over his whole operation, and everyone connected to him will go down with him." Emma yanked her arm free. "Then I guess I am going down too." "You do not have to. Just come with me. I can hide you. Tell Dimitri you were just a clueless pawn, totally in the dark. And then what? We just pick up where we left off?" A bitter laugh escaped Emma's lips. "I would rather die." "That can be arranged," the voice came from behind her. Emma spun around to see one of Dimitri's thugs, a gun leveled at her heart. Time warped. She watched the guy's finger squeeze the trigger, saw Ryan take a step back, already creating space. Her life was about to be snuffed out in a parking lot, feet from where Adrian was fighting for his. Then Marcus was there, a blur crashing into the gunman, sending the bullet flying wide. As they wrestled on the asphalt, Emma stumbled back. "Run!" Marcus yelled, but her eyes were locked on the restaurant where Adrian had just appeared in the doorway. Their eyes connected across the lot, and she saw pure rage twist his face when he understood her danger. He surged toward her, only for Dimitri himself to get in his way. "This is not over, Castellano." Adrian did not even spare him a look. He lifted his pistol and fired, not at Dimitri, but at the dude brawling with Marcus. The shot was clean, final. The guy collapsed. As Marcus scrambled to his feet, Dimitri chuckled. "So there it is. That is your weakness, a woman." He pulled his own gun, aiming it at Emma. "Drop your weapon or she is gone." Adrian's face was a cold, unreadable mask. But Emma could see the insane math spinning behind his eyes, the terrible choice he was up against. "Let her go," Adrian commanded. "This is between you and me." "No, this is exactly the point. You think you can operate in my city, steal my business, and face no consequences?" Dimitri's finger tightened on the trigger. "She dies first, then you." Emma's mind was racing. She could run, try to find cover. She could scream, make a diversion for Adrian's shot. Or she could just stand still, praying Adriana was faster. But she did what none of them expected. She walked right at Dimitri. "Emma, do not." Adrian's voice was sharp, laced with terror. "You want collateral?" Emma asked Dimitri, her steps never hesitating. "I am right here. Let Adrian leave, and I am yours. My life for his." "Emma, stop it!" Adrian lunged forward, but two of Dimitri's goons stopped him. She stopped 3 feet from the gun barrel. "I am serious. Let him go. You get me a guarantee he will not come back for revenge. Is not that worth more than 2 bodies?" Dimitri watched her, a spark of actual interest in his eyes. "You love him that much? You would die for him, without a second thought. Fascinating." Dimitri lowered his weapon a tiny bit. Adrian Castellano, the man without feelings, taken down by a nurse's aide. There is a certain poetry to that. There is only foolishness in it. Ryan jumped in, finally finding his voice. "She is nothing. Kill her and finish this." Emma's gaze shot to Ryan. "Still such a romantic." Dimitri smirked. "I like her. She has guts." He turned to Adrian. "I will give you a choice, Castellano, your life or hers. You walk away from this city, from your whole operation, and she lives. Or you stand and fight, and she dies, here and now." "Do not," Emma pleaded. "Do not you dare accept that." But Adrian was already lowering his gun. "You have my word. I will disappear. You do not touch her." No, Emma cried, moving for him, but Dmitri caught her arm. A smart choice, Dmitri smiled. You've got 24 hours to get gone. If I see your face after that, the whole deal is off. Adrian locked eyes with Emma for one final, soul-scorching second. She saw it all in his look: regret, love, and a hopelessness that cracked her wide open. Then Marcus was pulling Adrian away, the two of them retreating to their car, leaving Emma to Dmitri, Ryan, and the absolute train wreck of her life. Let me go, Emma whispered, her voice barely there. Not a chance. We gotta confirm your boy toy actually leaves. Dmitri nodded to his goon. Take her to the safe house. Keep her there until we get confirmation Castellano is out of the city. Emma was dragged into a ride, shoved in the back. As it tore off, she watched Adrian's SUV disappear around a corner in the distance. She'd just paid for his life, only to lose him in the exact same moment. The safe house was some depressing apartment in Queens, no windows, and furnished with pure misery. Emma sat on the edge of the bed, already plotting her comeback. Adrian was gone, probably on his way to an airstrip, with Marcus practically shoving him onto a jet, while every bone in his body was screaming to go back for her. Dmitri had won. Ryan got a front row seat to her complete and total downfall, and Emma was yet again all by herself. But this time was different. There were no tears, no dramatic collapse. Instead, there was pure rage, a cold, hard fire. She had burned her safety, her future, her whole life down to the ground to save Adrian. And he just walked away. He cut a deal with a guy who would probably get rid of her the second Adrian was no longer a problem. 2 hours crawled by, then 4. Emma memorized every inch of the room, looking for a way out, any weakness. The door was solid steel, the guard posted outside was armed and paying attention. They'd taken her phone. She had nothing left but the clothes on her back and her white-hot anger. Close to midnight, shouting exploded outside, followed by the pop of gunfire. The guard at her door fired back once, then went dead silent. The door slammed open. Emma braced herself for whatever came next. It was Sophia Marinette, backed by 4 armed men, looking impossibly calm in the middle of all the chaos. Hello, dear. Ready to leave? Emma's jaw hit the floor. How did you? Adrian called me before his flight took off. He asked me to make sure you were okay. Sophia held out a hand. Come on, we have a lot to do. Inside Sophia's sedan, Emma finally managed to speak. So he's really gone. His plane took off 3 hours ago for Prague, Sophia confirmed, shooting her a look. He saved your life. He ditched me. He did what he had to do to keep you breathing. Sophia's voice was soft. That's what love is, Emma. Not some big show. It's sacrifice. Emma watched the city lights blur by. Where are we going? To end this? A sharp, dangerous edge appeared in Sophia's smile. Dmitri Vulov made a huge mistake. He thought Adrian was the only major player left on the board. He forgot all about me, and he definitely underestimated you. What are you talking about? You saved Adrian's life today. You walked straight toward a loaded gun without even flinching. That kind of guts gets noticed. Sophia pulled up to a familiar building, Adrian's headquarters. The real question is, what are you going to do with it? Inside, Sophia spread a ton of files across the conference table. Financial records, property deeds, shell companies. For 3 years, the Vulovs have been laundering their dirty money through the Blake family's real estate, Sophia explained. I've been tracking every dollar, building a case. The only thing I was missing was hard proof tying them together. Ryan, Emma breathed out. Exactly. Your ex-fiancé is the key to this whole thing. He's been handling the transfers, burying the paper trail. Pretty slick, in a gummy kind of way. Sophia looked her right in the eye. But not slick enough. With these files, we can bring down both the Vulovs and the Blakes. The FBI has been dying for proof like this for years. Emma's head was spinning. You're going to give this to the feds? I'm going to give you the choice. You can hand these over to the FBI. Be the hero. Watch Ryan, his father, and Dimitri get sent to prison. Or you can disappear, start a new life, and walk away from it all. And Adrian? The question just hung there. He was in Prague, starting over from scratch. She could run to him, or she could stay here and finish this chapter for good. Emma's eyes landed on the documents, an entire arsenal to destroy the people who wronged her. Ryan, who threw her away. Her family, who traded her pain for her sister's happiness. The Vulovs, who wanted her 6 feet under. She thought about the woman she was just 3 weeks ago. A ghost, totally broken, barely holding on. That woman would have run. But Emma wasn't that woman anymore. I'll see it through, she stated. All of it. A slow grin spread over Sophia's face. I was counting on that. The next 72 hours were a total whirlwind. Emma met with federal agents, handing over Sophia's evidence and spilling everything she knew. They hauled Ryan out of his office in cuffs while all his co-workers stared. They picked up his father soon after. Dmitry Volkov was nabbed at the airport, trying to skip the country. The media circus was insane. Emma ignored most of it, but she caught glimpses of Ryan's face on the news, looking like a total stranger compared to the guy who promised her the world. She saw Victoria's tearful press conference, denying she knew anything. Her mom tried calling once. Emma just let it ring. A week after the arrest, Emma stood outside the dark venue where Victoria's wedding was supposed to be. The wedding was obviously off. The rumor was Victoria ran away to California, disgraced and broken. Emma waited to feel something, victory, justice, anything at all. But all she felt was a deep, crushing exhaustion. You did it. She turned around. Marcus was standing there, just a few feet away. I thought you were in Prague with Adrian? I was. He sent me to check on you. Marcus stepped a little closer. He wants to see you, if you're ready for it. Emma's heart just stopped. He's here. He came back 2 days ago. He was waiting for you to finish all this. Where? The penthouse? Of course. The elevator ride up felt like it took a lifetime. Emma's hands were shaking. Her breath was short. What was she even supposed to say? How do you even talk to the guy who gave up his whole empire for you, then let you do the same thing? The doors opened into the apartment. Adrian was standing by the windows, a silhouette against the city lights. When he turned to look at her, the expression in his eyes nearly broke her. Emma. She walked right up to him and hit him square in the chest. You left me. I had no choice. You made a deal with Dimitri. You were just going to let him get me after you were gone. Sophia was already making her move. I knew she would get you out of there. Emma hit him again. You knew nothing. You gambled with my life. Yes. Adrian caught her wrist, his touch way more gentle than she expected. Because if I had stayed here to fight, we both would have ended up dead. This way, at least one of us made it out. I don't want to just make it out without you. Emma's voice broke. I want a life with you, a real one, not just scraping by, but actually living. Adrian pulled her into his arms, holding her like she might just vanish. I love you. I should have said it with more fire, way more often. I should have made you 100% sure. I am sure. Emma gripped his shirt. I know, because you were willing to give it all up. Your kingdom, this city, your entire life. For me, I would do it again. You won't have to. The Volkoffs are done. So are the Blakes. It's over. Adrian leaned back, his eyes searching hers. So what's next? What do you want, Emma? She actually thought about it, letting the question really sink in. Her old life was gone, turned to ash by her own hands. Her family had thrown her out. Her old job was just a faint memory. The identity she'd had for 32 years was completely wiped out. And yet, in Adrian's arms, she didn't feel lost. She felt totally present. I want this, she answered. This thing between us, and whatever we choose to build from it, it won't be simple. I'm not looking for simple. It could be dangerous. I'm expecting it to be. Adrian smiled, the first truly real expression she had ever seen on his face. In that case, I have something for you. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small box. It wasn't for a ring, but something else. He opened it to show a single key. This is for the apartment, he said. Officially. Not as some place to hide from danger, but as a home because you belong here. He paused for a second. If that's what you want. Emma took the key, its cool weight feeling like a promise, like she finally had a say. Ask me the other question, she pushed. What other question? You know the one. I can see the box in your pocket. A short, surprised laugh escaped him. How did you just ask? He pulled out the second box and opened it. Inside was a simple platinum band with a single diamond. It wasn't flashy or some big show of wealth. It was just beautiful. Emma Carter, will you marry me? Will you build this insane, dangerous, probably cursed life with me? Will you let me prove to you every single day that you are seen? Yes. There was no hesitation, not even a flicker of doubt. Yes, to all of it. As he slid the ring onto her finger, Emma felt the final piece of herself lock into place. This was right. This was real. They got married 3 months later at the club where they first danced with a small, private ceremony. Sophia was there. Marcus was there, with a few other people Adrian trusted. Emma's family did not get an invitation. She was totally fine with that decision. While they danced to the song from that first night, Emma thought about the person she used to be. The woman who was destroyed by a wedding invitation, who felt her world end. The woman who was invisible, a ghost. That person was gone, replaced by someone who walked through hell and came out the other side like tempered steel. So what's the master plan now? Adrian breathes into her hair, and she's like, I'm happy. For real, genuinely happy. He just goes, good. That was the whole point. He asks, you happy with me? Emma pulls back, locks eyes with him. And what about your whole crime empire? You rebuilding that thing? He smirks. It's already started, but we're playing by new rules. Mostly legit businesses. I'm getting too old for this constant drama. You're 43. Dude, I'm wiped. He grins. Plus, I've got a reason to stay alive now. That changes the entire game. So what's the play? We try to be normal. And his definition of normal? Adrian spins her around, the room just a blur. We run clean companies, help people with certain issues, live in a massive apartment, and fight over who left the coffee on. Maybe we even get a dog. Is that seriously your idea of a normal life? Because it's perfect. This was so not the future Emma saw coming when that crazy invitation showed up 4 months back. It wasn't the safe, boring life she thought she wanted, but this was the life she chose. the one she fought for and built from the absolute wreckage of her past. 6 months after the wedding, Emma's on the penthouse terrace. This is her home now, 100%, staring out at the city. Down there somewhere, that chump Ryan Blake is doing a 15-year sentence for fraud. His dad got hit with 20. And Dmitry Volkov? He's locked up for life. Victoria bounced to Los Angeles, changed her name, and is supposedly getting hitched. Her mom still calls, but Emma almost never answers. She went back to work, but not her old gig. Sophia got her into nursing school, a real program this time. Turns out Emma's a natural when she's not juggling 3 jobs just to survive. Adrian launched a foundation in Sophia's name, helping out troubled kids in Queens. Emma helps run it, finding a new purpose. But their life isn't some happily ever after movie. They clash, usually over Adrian still loving the thrill of the game or Emma going full-on beast mode with her studies. They both have baggage that a little love won't just magically fix. But their bond is solid. They get each other, for real. And every single morning, Emma wakes up next to the guy who saved her, just by seeing her when she was totally invisible to everyone else. There you are. Adrian steps out onto the terrace with 2 glasses of wine. What are you doing freezing out here? Just thinking about that bus. About what would have happened if you hadn't stopped for me that night. Adrian hands her a glass, wrapping an arm around her. I could never have just driven by. You were someone who deserved to be seen, and I was a guy who needed a reason to be a hero. We basically saved each other. Yeah, she nods. We did. They just stand there, in a chill silence, watching the city lights pulse. Emma thinks about the invitation that wrecked her world, the sister who stabbed her in the back, and the one night that flipped the script. And you know what? She wouldn't change a single thing, because the girl she used to be, small, ignored, practically a ghost, that girl could never be standing here right now. She would have never thrown down for her own life, never made herself count. Emma Carter torched her old life, and from the ashes, she built something way bigger. Something dangerous and complicated and totally 100% hers. She chose the hurricane over the quiet, a crazy love over being comfortable and being a force over being a nobody. And for the first time in her entire life, she wasn't just surviving, she was in control.
Emma Carter's story is not merely a romance wrapped in crime, nor a revenge tale disguised as melodrama. It is, at its heart, a study of how invisibility becomes a form of violence. Before Emma ever meets Adrian Castellano, before the bus, before the guns, before the blood-stained bargains, she has already been disappearing. Her life is structured around accommodation. She works until her body fails, says yes when she means no, accepts humiliation as though it were duty, and watches her own family cast her in the role of emotional surplus. Even the betrayal by Ryan and Victoria is less a singular wound than a brutal confirmation of something she has always feared. In the eyes of others, she is replaceable. That is why the wedding invitation matters so much. It is not paper, it is a verdict. It tells Emma that her pain is socially inconvenient, that appearances matter more than truth, and that loyalty in her family has always been conditional. The invitation does not break her because it arrives with new information. It breaks her because it gives formal language to an old reality. She has always been the one expected to endure. Then the story introduces Adrian, and with him an entirely different form of danger. He belongs to a world built on coercion, violence, and strategic fear. He is not good in any simple moral sense. Yet he performs one radical act no one else in Emma's life has managed. He sees her, truly sees her. This is what makes the story psychologically complex. Emma does not fall only for power, or safety, or even attraction. She is drawn toward recognition. Adrian represents the first gaze that does not flatten her into a function. In that sense, the narrative becomes an exploration of hunger. Not physical hunger, though the story shows us that too, not merely romantic hunger, but existential hunger, the hunger to feel real in a world that rewards performance over authenticity. What makes this especially tragic is that the recognition Emma receives arrives through the machinery of violence. She is seen not in a peaceful world, but in a predatory one. The same event that endangers her also awakens her. The bus incident functions symbolically as a rupture. Public transit, normally a space of anonymity, becomes the threshold where invisibility fails. Once Emma is noticed, she can no longer return to the passive life she occupied before. This is where the story's central paradox emerges. Visibility saves her, and visibility destroys her old life. Adrian, too, is caught in a paradox. He lives as a man shaped by loss, operating in a system where tenderness is a liability. He protects through domination. He loves through sacrifice. He is not free, he is only powerful, and the text understands this. It never romanticizes his world without cost. His history reveals a man produced by grief and hardened by repetition, a man who turned pain into efficiency and called it survival. That is the cycle of violence at work. Violence here is not just bullets or beatings, it is inheritance. It is the way wounds become methods. Adrian was taught that protection requires force. Emma was taught that love requires self-erasure. Ryan learned that intimacy is transactional. Victoria learned that appearance can be mistaken for innocence. Everyone in the story participates in an emotional economy shaped by power. And so the question is not why do these people make destructive choices? The question is, what kind of world trained them to believe these choices were the price of belonging? This is why Emma's transformation matters beyond plot. She does not simply become braver, she becomes legible to herself. She begins by wanting to be chosen and ends by choosing. That distinction is everything. At the start, her self-worth is outsourced. At the end, it is claimed. She stops organizing her life around what others can tolerate and starts building it around what she can live with. Even her attraction to danger can be read symbolically. She is not embracing violence because violence is glamorous. She is rejecting the deadness of her previous life. A morally hazardous world feels to her more honest than a polite world full of betrayal. That does not make the choice safe. It makes it understandable. And perhaps that is the most unsettling truth in the story. Many people do not choose chaos because they love destruction. They choose it because silence has already been destroying them. By the time Emma refuses the wedding, confronts the lies, and stops apologizing for taking up space, the plot is no longer about romance, it is about authorship. She is rewriting the script that once governed her, not perfectly, not innocently, but consciously. In literary terms, Adrian once believed he was cultivating a future by controlling outcomes. In reality, he was watering the very possibility of his own undoing. Likewise, Emma's family thought they were preserving order by suppressing truth. Instead, they created the conditions for rupture. Every act of minimization became a seed, every silence a root. By the time the story blooms into open conflict, the flower is inevitable. It is a blood-fed blossom. Life lesson. A person does not become dangerous when they are betrayed. They become dangerous when betrayal finally teaches them to see themselves clearly. The deepest transformation begins the moment survival is no longer enough.